Hey,
All right. Hey, guys. This is our first live as part of the Mind Your Autistic Brain talk show because we are transitioning into more live content each and every week for you so that you can be part of the conversation because we are a community. And part of community is knowing that you're not alone, that there's places to go and join with other people to have conversation. And when Tammy Cho's episode aired, Path to the Heart, you guys were flooding in with questions. You were like, hey, we got stuff we want to know more from Tammy. So Tammy has so kindly agreed to join us today. And if you haven't listened to that episode, go check out Tammy Cho's episode, Path to the Heart, where we are talking about how burnout shows up on your physical form in your body. So here's some interesting little insights and tidbits about Tammy because she is amazing. Tammy Cho is a body whisperer, a self-love embodiment guide. She is a psychosomatic therapist, international best-selling author, speaker, and CEO of Path to the Heart, and having served as a registered nurse and in the psycho-spiritual industry for 20 years. Tammy blends a unique proven face and body analysis system, neuroscience, ancient wisdom, energetics of manifestation, and emotional leadership in her work. Having overcome personalized and personal having overcome generalized anxiety, depression, and chronic burnout without medications, Tammy helps heart centered leaders to create a life of fulfillment, purpose, impact without exhaustion and self sacrifice. And I don't know about you guys, but that's just speaks so directly to my heart because that is part of that burnout restoration journey. It really is. Tammy is speaking to that. She's speaking to it on a different and deeper level in the work that she does. So I'm really excited to have Tammy here today. Tammy, welcome to the show. Thanks for doing this.
yeah, thanks for having me, Carol Jean. I'm so happy to be back.
I mean, we had so many questions. People really wanted to know, what is how what do I do now that like burnout's showing up on my face? I'm doing some restoration work. You work specifically with clients you call high achievers. So before we get started, can you tell the audience a bit about your journey and how you started creating and focusing on high achievers, Tammy?
Well, sure. First of all, I'll just sort of highlight what is a high achiever to make sure everyone's on the same page. And essentially, I see a high achiever as someone that is not settling for the status quo. We really care about making a difference, making a change. And we're in a place where we care so much that we may tend to kind of overcommit and overachieve, take on too much, even a little bit of pleasing others in order to sort of move forward in life a little bit, and there's a place within us that and I'm saying within us because I came from that place, of really wanting to get out there and make a difference. And it's often and the clientele I work with is really from a place of there's a place that they're not necessarily putting themselves first. And this is where, why we started talking about the burnout, Hero Gene. And so for myself, like I started off with that story. Like I went to work one day and I was working as a nurse at that time. And I essentially just got off the phone with a client and I started having heart palpitations and chest pain radiating up my jaw and down my arm. And it was essentially I was experiencing a panic attack that felt very much like a heart attack. And I never had one of these before. And so this was the end of my rope. And so leading up to that point, I knew that I was experiencing high anxiety. And I was experiencing a difficulty focusing and all these symptoms within myself, but I couldn't get myself to necessarily let go, Carol Jean. And there was a place within me that I I I was so committed to everything around me that and all the promises I made to everyone that I couldn't get myself to let go. And it was really from emotional place. And as I looked back, I was that I had high functioning depression, anxiety, a place where we look very successful, put together. I was getting things done on top of everything. But deep within myself, I was struggling with worthiness, sadness, and anxiety. And so when I was realizing all of this, right? Obviously, I had that burnout episode where I was, you know, taken to emergency in front of everyone at work. So it was not something I could no longer hide from. Hide. I did no longer have that mask within myself, and so I made me kind of look at myself, and I got to go take care of myself a lot more. I started doing massage and facials, chiro, energy healing, and I even, obviously did the counseling, the therapy, and traditional Chinese medicine, and all these things. And I still was not, it was still, it wasn't moving the needle still. I did a lot of personal development at that time, and I ran masterminds, and I even became a millionaire before I was age 30. And when I looked back, Carol Jean, I realized that I was in a place of doing still. I was doing all these things to try to get better and fix myself. And and it really wasn't until, we say that our kids are our gifts. And for me, it was no different, because when my daughter became 6 months old and she was lying there on one of those baby Einstein mats on the floor, and for the first time, she hit one of the hanging toy structures, that were dangling. And that's a big milestone for a lot of parents, to see our children do something intentionally for the first time as a baby. And it's cute and adorable and all of this. And I saw it, but I couldn't connect to it. And if it wasn't for that nurse that was sitting in my living room next to me on my couch, like, I wouldn't even made the connection that I was even doing that. And and so from that place, obviously, I realized, from my story and my trauma of the past, is that my mom had left me when I was 20 days old. And at this point, it was coming up that I wasn't physically abandoning my daughter, but I was emotionally abandoning her, Carol Jean. And so from that place, that's when I really kind of put the fire under me to really do something different. And it got me into a lot of the spiritual and the emotional healing and deeper embodiment, which allowed me to step into that, the feeling and the being side of things, and really allowed me to overcome the depression, anxiety, that everything that I was going through. I'm living my purpose now, and I'm creating like 5-figure months just by letting in more love for myself, Cara Jean. And so I'm just really passionate about bringing this to other high achievers that may be experiencing what I had experienced. And that is big part of my life purpose that I am living right now.
And I love seeing that show up. And we've got one of our passion folks in the audience today. Hey, Jurgen, how are you? I'm so glad you joined us today. That's such a big part of our community, my
Oh, I can't, you're frozen on my side here, Carol Jean. I think we lost Carol Jean here, and I just wonder she'll be jumping back on. Can't hear you quite yet.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh my goodness, we had the weirdest thing. Our whole internet went out. I had to hop over on my phone.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. Well, this is, well, Opa, here we are.
Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna start recording. I have no idea if this is going to work in any way here. Oh, it looks like I may have gotten reconnection here. Let me try and reconnect over on this side real quick, Tammy.
Yeah, on my side, it's saying live at the top left of the screen, just so you know, but
Okay.
I'm not sure how that's showing out elsewhere.
Okay, me neither. We're just gonna go with it. Oh, here we go. I'm showing up here in the let me sign in. For some reason it says I gotta sign in again. Oh, hey
No,
guys,
that's,
just hang
it
with us.
always
It's
does that
always
at the
fun.
right time, right? Gets you to sign in again.
Oh my goodness. We're just gonna rock and roll with what we got here.
I'm good at that.
Oh, I'm telling you, we just roll with it, baby. Let's see. Let me get our Zoom back up here and see if I can swap back over.
Sure.
I'll end it over here.
Okay.
Here we go. All right, reclaim. Got it. Man.
I'm here.
Welcome back.
It takes a minute. Cameras and all kinds of stuff reset. We have had some weird internet stuff going on in over here in our household, and we had new equipment installed, and we've had all kinds of strange things going on. Let me see here if we've got our live going. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. Oh, I hear it playing in the background. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Do you hear that, Tammy?
I don't.
Okay, it must be just me. Hang on. Okay, there we go. Ah, there. All right, so it's playing. I'm not sure. Oh my goodness. Wonder if I just disconnected us here.
I mean, if we
Sorry
need to,
for-
we can disconnect and go back on. It's all good.
Yep, I was getting ready to say, why don't we do that? Because something's going on here. I think I may have gotten it though. Let's see. Okay, I think we're still streaming. Yeah, we're still streaming. Okay. We're all good.
Well, before
Oh
we
my-
jump off, I know you were commenting that someone was here live, and I wonder if that person's still here.
I know. Hey, Jurgen, you're here with us. Hi. Because I saw Jurgen was there. So guys, apology, we had some tech issues. So, but we're back. We're all here. We're gonna finish having this amazing conversation with Tammy. And there's always fun. And when you go live, you never know what's gonna happen. You always just have a backup. I had a backup.
Hey.
So Tammy, tell me, you talked about your story, sort of the things that you've experienced. And I know that you've created this whole process of Path to the Heart through your own journey, through that experience that you shared with us of, gosh, my doing was what was undoing me. And I recognized that, through my past trauma and experience, I was physically present, but I was still not connecting the way I wanted to. And, that really relates and hits me so deeply, because that was sort of a place I hit too. My kids were young and I was really sick. I was super burned out. And it was just, I remember lying there thinking, I want to be able to go play with my kids. I want to be able to go do the things and spend the time with my children without feeling horrible, without being so tired, without hurting all over and having to go, hey, guys, mommy has to go lay down and I've only played 5 minutes. It's like you start looking at your experiences and your quality of life, and it really makes you stop and think. So, Tammy, who did you create your program Path to the Heart to support? Who is this for? Who do you help?
Well, it's there's creating a program, and there's creating a program that, who you want to work with and who my program could really support. And so what I feel through working with various clients, I realize it's really geared towards that heart-centered high achiever, that leader that is really wanting to make a difference and create that impact in service to a greater purpose. Very much, it's like when we're not online with a purpose, it shows up in our body. And so I really want to support people that have this intentionality around creating their purpose and making that difference. And I help people that they're putting themselves out there, Carol Jean, right? They're doing all the mindset work, they're ticking all the boxes and hitting, some of their goals, but their own joy, their pleasure, their self-care tends to kind of hang out at the bottom of their list. And it's from a place where they could keep on going to some extent, but there's a place within themselves that feels like it's unfulfilled. It feels like they're hitting some sort of invisible wall, even though they could keep on doing the doing motions of life, so to speak, And so I find that working with this type of clientele, it's the most, not only rewarding for me, but my system really serves sort of that demographic, so to speak. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm trying to navigate and just, I'm having those times. It is a tech gremlin kind of day, folks.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's just take a deep breath and reset all of it. It's all good.
I mean, it's all good. I'm just, I'm multitasking in my screens and that kind of stuff to make sure everything's working. And we're all good. So we're just going to keep going with this amazing conversation. Tammy, I think that brings up my next thing is just like, well, what are the biggest challenges that you see, high achievers struggling with? You told us you and I kind of talked about this before we got on. It's like, well, what's the difference between like a high achiever and a perfectionist, right? Because sometimes that's an element to it. And you had a really good answer, which I really loved, but I'd love to what's the difference between a perfectionist and a high achiever? And then as we talk about high achievers, what are some of the biggest challenges that you notice high achievers are facing, Tammy?
Yeah, and sure. I love to, because perfectionism is more like a tendency, a pattern, so to speak. And not all high achievers may have that, but I find from my experience with my clients that they actually classify themselves as a recovering perfectionist. So they've definitely had some of those tendencies that were there. And so, yeah, we can have a perfectionist personality, wanting things to be perfect. And a lot of times it is, if you look a layer deeper, it's the energy of control. It's a need to control things at a deeper level. And so for me, it's not so important the words, even though it is important to be able to distinguish, is that a lot of high achievers is that they do have that tendency of needing to control, because in order to be productive, in order to have things put together, oftentimes there needs to be a control of the protection that we've created, that needing to look good, wearing that mask and looking put together, being the one people come to. I can't be vulnerable. And so that brings me to that one of the bigger challenges, because I need to say this, is that busy, successful leaders and high achievers, they already know they need to make more space for themselves. They already have that awareness. It's not a new concept. However, a part of their mind will come and say, oh, I already know I need to do that, or I've got that handled, right? And so when they do, however, when they do allow themselves to slow down enough, they realize there is some emptiness, something feels off, something feels like it's missing, something feels out of alignment. They say, like, I feel unfulfilled. There's something more, but I just can't put a finger on it, right? And so sometimes though, the mind will come in and just say, well, this is something that I already I what was I coming up with? Just like if they're justifying the void, I guess. There's a justification, that's a word that comes up, that is saying that I've made all these accomplishments already. I have created all these successes. And so there's a place within them that justifies it. And this is where the mind could overstep, so to speak. You know what I mean? And so a lot of that breaking down of all that, they got to be really real with themselves. And one of the things is being able to step into this emotional vulnerability and to recognize that, yeah, something at a deeper level. Because just like my story, there was a doing aspect. I was doing all the right things. I was doing so many things. My schedule was packed with self-care. Like, why is it not working, right? And so it is coming back to that feeling place. That is what is in the way. And if we've been high achieving for a while, like for me, that was me since childhood, like that people pleasing, needing to be perfect, getting the good marks or whatever, right? I looked put together for so long. If I were to let that go, it almost feels like I'm going to die. And so this is what a lot of my clients feel, that if we connect at such a deep level within ourselves and recognize it's not working, it's like, I don't even know the first step to take, And so that's one of the biggest challenges. It's like, they say to me, I don't know how to let go of control. I'm scared. What I do first? And so that definitely is one of the biggest challenges. And I'll dive into a couple more that I see quite readily in my clients, is that oftentimes I'll speak about the self-care piece. That is, if you feel that you are doing the self-care pieces, but it's like, it's from an energy of like, oh, I'm so exhausted and I got to do it to recover so I could keep on going. That's a really good check-in for yourself, to know that there's a piece within you that may not be looking deeper. And because I work with high achievers and they're wanting to create this impact, often what is in the way of what you want is exactly what you're unable to give to yourself. And so that is one of the things that I really want to speak about and highlight here, because there is a big distinction between self-care and self-love. And it comes again back to your feeling and your being in it versus the actual doing and ticking all the boxes of it. And I have to say, one of the other things that come up again and again that I see, and it looks different on the outside, but essentially from a place where we are disconnected from our body and we're running the show with our minds. Like, there's a place where we go down and connect to some of that positivity. It's like we focus on gratitudes, or we focus on the positive thinking, but it's still from this place of, so I could keep on going, or it's like, I'm doing okay. And it's not necessarily looking deep enough. And when we're out of our body, we're in our heads. And it's really difficult when you're on the treadmill of life to really make those distinctions if we're not maybe being held in a space. Because first of all, it's scary. Second of all, it feels like it's working at some level. Your mind will tell you that, right? Yeah. And third of all, it's like everyone around you, if you look around your reality, like, it confirms what your mind is thinking. And so it really takes a leader. And I know that because we are high achieving, we have a heart so big. And this is why I want to help high achievers, because they wouldn't be doing and pushing and doing so much if they didn't have a big heart. it's really learning to turn it around, that you're able to start with you first, you know? And I
And
feel like I've been
one of
talking a
the
while,
things
so
that you always kind of bring up for me is when we have these conversations, Tammy, is it's that part of worthiness, instead of just checking the box because like I need to do this or I have to do this. And it's almost like I have to do these things in order to earn some self-care time. And I have to control all of these parts because if I don't, then something bad will happen. That's so often kind of like what runs on the subconscious level. And I love I love this quote. This is what I wrote down from you. And I have had it on a Post-it note on my computer ever since we talked. And it is, our consciousness shifts at the vibration of courage. And I think control comes from such a place of fear. And it came from a place of fear for me, like courage. Courage wasn't something that I had connected with. And I got so lost in the like controlling because something bad could happen if I didn't control stuff, right? And it needed to be perfect because if it wasn't perfect, I wasn't worthy. And shifting those things have become automated. They have become habits, right? And that was like the operating system my brain was running on. And I could come up, and we can do this, guys. We totally rationalize anything that we do with our own thinking. We can think ourselves into like, this is working, right? But is it really? And it takes that courage. It takes that vibration of courage to shift into a place of conscious awareness of like really standing there and being courageous, being brave, being vulnerable to go, is it really working? Right? So how do we start? I mean, how does a high achiever take that first step? Like, what's the way? Like, if you have just listened to this and you are resonating and you're like, oh Lord, that's me. I'm like feeling that. That is me. I am the high achiever. What do I do now? What do they do now? What's the first step on this one, Tammy?
well, and I'll definitely speak to that, but I just want to like say that unfortunately, like high achievers often don't come to me and say to me, I need more self-love. And it's not like, it's often they come to me because like they want to create the impact and I feel stuck, something feels like in the way, like that's the problem they see, so to speak, right? And so I want to speak this, is that what is in the way of what you say you want, it's actually the vibration of your energy. Vibration, it's the vibration of your energy. And so if you are not necessarily connected to your emotions, and emotions are energy and emotion, and there's not a space in your life that you're stepping into emotional resilience or leadership within yourself, you're not actually shifting energetically enough to raise consciousness and therefore the next level of your business. And I that first step is acceptance of that. And when you like slow down enough to know that truth, even though it's so like quiet of a voice, but it's that same voice that when you listen to, it's always right, and you accept that, yeah, there's a place within me that I must look deeper, or I don't know, but whatever that is, that's the voice I had to listen to in order to make the difference, that I make the shifts, change my life upside down, a total, I feel 360. And it's from that place of acceptance, that courage and acceptance of looking at the root of it. Otherwise, this is what bothers me the most, is that people hit their heads on a wall. They're doing all these things, moving like, 2 steps forward and the 4 steps back. And when you don't slow down, you can't see that you're actually not moving forward very well. Like you're maybe even getting some of the goal, you're hitting the goals, but you'll always feel like something is missing. And that is our worthiness. That is our deservingness. That if we ignore that, that is what is in the way. It's directly related to your ability to receive yourself and let yourself into you. Just wanna,
What I'm hearing here, Tammy, is I'm sort of like translating it into my brain is that first step is creating some space and some quiet to actually listen to yourself so that you can tap into your intuition, so you can really connect with what that inner voice is telling you. And I think, for high achievers, that was me, like wanting to serve, wanting to do, wanting to make an impact on the world. And I was so busy like doing all the things that I didn't tap into myself. I wasn't listening. And it took some quiet. It took intentional quiet. And like, that is so uncomfortable when you're used to like cramming every second full of getting things done and the doing, right? It almost seems like silence and allowing yourself to sit and be still is counterproductive. Like you're being lazy, you're wasting time. When in actuality, for me, and I know for a lot of my clients, and I know probably when I was in that place, I had to get quiet and I had to just give myself space because that little voice was talking, but I wasn't hearing it because I was so busy. That's kind of what came up for me when I was listening to what you were saying, right?
Thank you. And I entirely appreciate, you saying it in your own words, because it's like, it's just beautiful. Just the way how it lands differently with different perspectives and words. And I really appreciate that, because I'm also aware that sometimes it can feel non-tangible what I'm saying. And I really loved, Kara-Jean, how you really sort of brought it back here. And so, yeah, this is a place that, and when we get to that place of quiet, and it's like, and we're sitting here and we're being with ourselves, it's ability to realize what emotions are we running away from? What is, the mind saying? And often what the mind saying is stimulated by emotions. Yeah.
Connecting those two is sometimes where the unlocking happens, where the shift happens, where that vibration changes. And I love that. So Tammy, after we sort of take that first step, as high achievers, to sort of allow some space, allow some silence, to just sort of listen to our bodies, listen to that small, quiet voice that does speak to us, our intuition and our higher self, because we're smarter than we give ourselves credit for. I know that you've put together a program that takes high achievers on this path. Like once you've recognized that and you see that, yeah, that is definitely me. This is sort of where I've been so far. What is the program, and tell us a little bit about that, Tammy?
Yeah, I love to, Kara-Jean. I decided to call it Open to Receive, because there's that part of us that are looking to receive more on the outside. And this is a program where it's, yes, there is the doing aspect and all these things that we already know, but it's actually it's a space for you to deepen into yourself in those places of developing that emotional leadership and embodiment, like identifying, releasing what exactly for you is in the way of creating that impact and abundance. It's being able to step into, know what your body is saying, because just I'm a face and body reader. That's a really important piece, to be able to listen to our body, because that is communicating everything for us. Actually, it's just that we're not taught that in school. And so it's understanding that and embodying a deeper truth of who you are. And it's leveraging off the triggers that happen in our life to develop that opportunity and roadmap to actually keep on deepening into ourselves. And it's actually being able to shift your vibrational energy at that level so that you can actually open to receive within yourself what you say you want. And so this is a container that is there to hold you step into the uncomfortable realms of you, so that you feel held, supported as you grow in these deeper parts of yourself. What I find with some of the clients is that they have everything put together. It's like all the pieces will come together once we unravel this peace within ourselves to come back to that emotional leadership and start living in an upgraded beingness. And this is what this program is about. It's learning how to get out of our body. Get out of our heads and into our bodies and into the emotions. And then everything will start to integrate and align. And so if, you're in a place where you feel like that voice within you is calling you and you don't know why. And often I notice that that's how people decide to work with me, is that they don't really know why. There's a sense of this and that. I need more space. This is feeling stuck in it. But at the end of the day, when I ask them, it's this place within them that feels drawn and they don't know why. And so I really invite you to listen to that step. And if it's not with me, to really guide, let that voice guide yourself to the energy of this, because this is the root. Like if we're not addressing it there, we're again on that hamster wheel, on that spinning treadmill, whatever you want to call it. And so that's what the Open to Receive is all about. It's actually launching March 1st. And so I'm really excited to be holding space. It's going to be a group coaching program. In addition, you also get the face analysis, which highlights all your strengths, challenges, and subconscious blocks that are in the way, right? And you also get one-to-one in the second and third month to support any deeper processes, as well as any group processes that I run you through. So it's going to be a lot of a deeper dive, a deeper integration into who you are. And so I'm super excited. Please let me know if I missed any pieces that jump out at you, Carol Jean.
So, one of the things that I love to do, and this is part of sort of Mind Your Autistic Brain talk show, is that we have these conversations, but I also like to offer, different resources. And Tammy has this resource that she's offering. And, being open to receive. Oh man, that was one I really, really had to work with. That was I could give all day long. That felt safe. It didn't feel safe to receive. I had a lot of internal belief systems that were telling me that I wasn't worthy enough to receive. I hadn't earned the right to receive. And that there's so much uncomfortableness, like physical discomfort. Like I physically wanted to run from the room when somebody would say, oh my gosh, I have this for you. And I made this for you, or I want to give you this. And I would be just like, oh, thank you. And I would almost be embarrassed and it would be physically painful. And so I love the title of your course. Tammy, how long is this course? How many weeks or months is this?
It's 3 months in length, starting March 1st. And it's a weekly group coaching that we have together. I keep it nice and intimate. So smaller groups, no huge number of people to do this type of intimate work. And this is the space that I'm creating for all of you.
Oh, I love that so much. So Tammy, I would love to know, can you share maybe a past client journey with us to kind of let us know what would it be like? Like, what are the possibilities? I'm a possibilitarian. So, from an example of somebody that's gone through the program, what's possible, Tammy? What did somebody else experience in this program with you?
Yeah, I love to. I mean, what I notice is really comes down to the intention of the person who's in the program. I had one person that came in and she was stuck and she didn't know what the next step was in her life. And what became of it, it was really going into a deep forgiveness journey into a part of herself that she was not letting in because of things that happened with a mother figure in her life. And with that opening up, she was not letting herself actually connect with people she actually cared and loved in her life. And she was going out of her way to not be with people, not to even be in the presence. It's like she didn't know why. And that was affecting her and her ability to create the connections and make the relationships and step into the next layer of her business. And after the program, she was essentially going out of her way to actually connect with her close family, her friends. And she was open. Like, we do this process where we test your energy before and after, so you could sort of see the difference. And it was entirely opened up. It was just amazing energetically. And in that program, she was essentially able to create the next step. And she created 3 opportunities with that. All of them were good opportunities, and she was able to connect deeper with the people she loved in her life. And therefore, everything was just starting to open. I had another person that went through my coaching, and she came from corporate. She started creating a business, and again, the flow wasn't happening. And she was, someone that was looking for more space in her life, and she didn't even connect to the fact that she was stuck. Actually, she just knew, I need to create more space for myself, and through that, through my program, she was able to move from having no office for herself to moving to a new spacious house and having 2 rooms for herself. Her group ended up having an influx of like 12 signups that month, that we worked through things. And she's now sort of able to, well, this is her highest thing she got, is that she was able to open up to setting boundaries with the closest people in her lives, and actually allowing herself to step into her power, and to actually put her foot down with her parents, which was like, this is a huge win for her. And sometimes it's just these.
I can feel that one when you have older parents, and you're the adult child, and it's just that's real. That's a legit thing.
Yeah, and it's some of these things in our life that we neglect almost. Like we think, oh, I'll just let it go, and it's like, for her to be able to do that was actually her biggest win besides all the business growth she was having. And so, yeah, these are just some of the stories. Like I had one man that I went through my program, and he essentially, just the biggest realization, because all his relationships weren't working, and he just, he came in for business, and what he got out of it was just opening up his heart to be vulnerable and realizing he could just be himself. And that is something that is difficult to measure. But for him, it was just meant, it just meant he's finally able to actually live his life again. And so, it really came down to it wasn't what their mind said was the intention, it was what their heart actually truly needed and wanted. And often that supported the other aspects. And so, I really want to highlight that. It really comes down to our heart's intention and knowing that connection to that. So.
Yeah, it really does. And, having someone who can guide you on that journey and really save you the time, because really that's what we're talking about, is like this rapid acceleration. Because when we work together and we work with someone who has been there and gotten to the other side to guide us where we want to go, to start unlocking and opening our heart to receive, that's a journey that when we do it by ourselves, we don't know necessarily what to expect or where we're headed. And so when we don't have guidance, it takes us longer to get there. We hit more barriers and roadblocks along the way. So I love that you've created this program to help accelerate that, to help remove that time and shorten it so that people have a more direct path to their own heart and be able to, not have all of those same barriers come up if they were trying to do it by themselves. So Tammy, I know that you offer a complimentary discovery call. So if you're listening today and you're like, this is resonating, this is landing for me, but I'm not quite sure, or I don't know, but I'm feeling it, like that little voice is saying something, but you're not sure. There will be a link in the show notes below where you can schedule a discovery call with Tammy. Tammy, what should somebody expect in a discovery call with you? I mean, how does this work? Because, people in my world, we got to know what to expect because, anxiety comes up.
Yes. And it takes so much courage to get on a call, like being vulnerable. And so I just know that you're going to be held in a very safe space. It's a way to hold space for you to unveil what is actually in the way, like to step into these truths within you. I'm that guide to shine that light for you to see you and what's in the way from those times that we may not be looking there, and to stay long enough to make it important. And so that's the space I hold for you. I hold you and where you're at to shine the light in the places that you may not see or have forgotten, to show you what is possible for you, right? And to really be in a place of service around that, and to see if there is this like energy resonance. And we'll know when it's the right path to work together. And so that's what I would love to offer in this call for you. It's not necessarily a face analysis per se, but if a lot of times if something drops in, I will definitely be bringing that up as well. And so it really is just bring your strongest intention there. And mine is to hold you, to help you see yourself.
That is so beautiful, Tammy.
Thank you, Carol Jean. Yeah,
guys, thank you so much for joining us today for this live conversation, going a little bit deeper on the path to the heart with Tammy Cho. She to receive that starts March the 1st. And I love that we were able to share this conversation, extend the invitation, and to let you know what this resource is that's available to you here in Mind Your Autistic Brain. Please take a moment. If you are feeling called to this, if you took a pause in this moment and there was that small voice inside that says, this feels right, this feels like something that I might want to explore, definitely hop on that discovery call with Tammy. Those are complimentary. And I have to just say from a personal experience, just sharing space and time with her is life-changing, even if it's just, for just a brief conversation to get to know her. She is such an incredible person and really is just a gift, and shows up to serve in the highest and best possible way to help you. And she does that for each and every person that she meets. Tammy, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your incredible program starting March the 1st. Oh my goodness, what an absolute treasure of a resource. So if you are the high achiever that has been spoken to today, go check it out. Go spend some time with Tammy, because, we have time. We have time. How we spend it and what we invest in for ourselves in that time is what changes everything. You have more time than you think. How are you spending it?
Yes, thank you, Cara Jean. I appreciate you creating the space for me to shine and really share my heart. So I truly appreciate you and the energy vibration that I sense from you every time we meet. It's just so impactful for me. So thank you.
Guys, stay tuned, because on Wednesday, we have a new episode of the Mind Your Autistic Brain talk show coming out. And this time, we're going to be talking to Benjamin Christmas. He is part of Umbrella Alliance with my fabulous friend, Angela and AJ, out of Australia and the United States. And guys, Benjamin has some incredible conversations. Oh my gosh, brings forth some topics and some ideas that you've probably been thinking about too. So join us on Wednesday for a new episode of the Mind Your Autistic Brain talk show. Be sure you check the show notes below on how to get in touch with Tammy and share that conversation and connection. And if you are open to receive and you are ready, she has this program starting March the 1st. Guys, have a fantastic week. This is Monday, so we are just like kicking it off and rocking the week with some fantastic energy. Be sure that you take a moment this week just to take a deep breath. Drop your shoulders and just feel in your body for just a second, if nothing else. Take that pause this week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. All right.